We return to the Gospel of John today as we find ourselves at Maundy Thursday. Chapters 13 through 17 of John's Gospel are referred to as the Upper Room Discourse. It's in these chapters where we are told and shown the activities that followed the Thursday night Passover meal observed by Jesus and his disciples. There are so many things going on in this section. Easily, there are several months worth of sermons found in these chapters. For today, though, we turn our attention to the very first verse in this section, John 13, verse 1. Now, before the feast of the Passover, when Jesus knew that his hour had come, that he should depart from this world to the Father, having loved his own who were in the world, he loved them to the end. We're shown evidence of Jesus' love through the washing of the disciples' feet, through the assurance Jesus made that he would prepare a place in the Father's house in return for his disciples. We are also here through Jesus' promise to send the Holy Spirit and through Jesus' high priestly prayer for his disciples. Everything that is recorded in these chapters tell us that Jesus is preparing his disciples for life in this world when Jesus is no longer physically with them. Of all the things, though, that we learned about Jesus in these chapters, perhaps the greatest thing is when we realize that Jesus used every means available to him to describe and to show the disciples that they were loved. How do you understand love? Is it in acts of service that others do for you? Is it in words that are spoken to you? Is it in gifts given to you? Jesus shows love through washing the disciples' feet. Jesus shows love by speaking words of comfort to ease the disciples' fear and confusion. Jesus shows love for the disciples by praying for them and telling them of the gift of the Holy Spirit, which will descend from God after Jesus has ascended to God. And in every way that he's doing this, Jesus is describing for us the fact that love is so much more than a passing feeling. There is one particular person in the upper room who refuses to respond to the love Jesus is offering, no matter how many ways Jesus might demonstrate that love. And yet Jesus, knowing full well what events are unfolding, Jesus still offers grace, and he demonstrates love to Judas. Jesus chose to go to the cross and to endure the pain, the suffering, and the humiliation the cross would bring, because this was the only way sin's power to separate humanity from God could be broken. Love paid the price to redeem Peter, Andrew, James, and John. And the price that was paid would have redeemed Judas if Judas would have turned from his sin, turned to God, and repented. The love that Jesus showed on the cross was enough to redeem me and everyone else watching this video today. Love has been poured out to show us God's plan to set humanity free from the power of sin. Will you respond to the love God is showing to us today? Will you receive from God the spiritual wholeness and healing that God desires to bring to your life? When we receive God's love, we realize that God still calls us to then become agents of love to those around us, even to unkind people, those people who look and act differently from how we look and act. God desires his love to be demonstrated to all who we encounter. If we receive God's love into our lives, God brings great change to the world around us. A statement was made a few years ago that as God pours his holy love into our lives, we are not meant to become a holding tank for that love, where we soak it all in for ourselves. Instead, God intends for his love to flow from us into the lives of others that God brings to us. Jesus demonstrated this kind of love to the disciples. And in doing so, Jesus equipped the disciples to demonstrate God's love to others. If we are trusting God by following Jesus, then God will use our lives as examples of love and grace to the world around us.